Welcome to my channel. My name is Egan. I offer health and wellness tips for the everyday person, and especially those with autoimmune conditions. So my passion is sharing health in all aspects of health. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. COVID-19 coronavirus, it's here and it's making a lot of people really nervous. So there's a lot of news media right now. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of isolation being taken place due to this coronavirus. And over 90% of people who do get this recover just fine. However, obviously it's a different type of virus and everyone's needing to take those precautions too. So there's a lot of media hype. There's a lot of runs on toilet paper. There's a lot of things kind of going on. And that's for a topic for somebody else to deal with. I want to talk today about kind of health and kind of things that you can do to help protect yourself as well as your family. I speak from experience when it comes to having an autoimmune condition. I have psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis, and I've done my own kind of natural healing over the last several years through gut health and other things, and I want to share some of those things with you as well. I also work as a firefighter paramedic, so obviously we were responding to lots of these calls and taking those kind of precautions. I see it from both sides. I see it from first responders and healthcare aspect, and I also see this from my own personal experiences too. So I want to share some things that we can control and things that we can't control that can help you and your family be safe and kind of the happiest and healthiest that you can be in this time right now. Okay, so the first thing that we can do to kind of help prevent and spread what's kind of going on, avoiding large groups. And that's kind of being done by us, by the government, because they're telling us now not to be within larger groups of 10, and obviously keeping that social distance of 6 feet. So that's kind of the first thing we can do, is avoiding that close contact with anybody. Also, the immunosuppressive population that are kind of at risk to this, as well as obviously the elderly, is those people with suppressed immune systems need to be even more cautious when it comes to all this stuff too. There's also medications, corticosteroids, and other types of medications can actually suppress your immune system, and so you need to take even extra special precautions. I personally don't take any prescription drugs, and that was kind of my own path, but that's my decision, and I'm recommending thinking about going off of any kind of medications, speak to your doctor first. So I know there's different doctors that are saying to go off of these medications during this time, and then other doctors are saying to stay on their certain medications. But that's up to between you and your doctor to make that kind of decision. The number one thing you can do is washing your hands. So washing our hands is simply just using soap and water. CDC recommends a minimum of 20 seconds. And I would say anywhere from 20 seconds to a minute is a good thing to wash your hands. Washing your hands early and often. Another big thing is not touching your face. We're prone to touching our face dozens of times an hour. Even I didn't notice it until my son actually called me out about it. I've been more cognizant of is avoiding touching your face. Some doctors say that if you just washed your hands and you never touch your face, you'd almost never be sick. And that's good advice just for overall health and wellness. Some other tips for just kind of household cleaning, overall cleanliness, use just a simple solution, bleach and water to sanitize countertops. There's actually things right now in our area that they have to actually sanitize, like restaurants, cash registers, grocery stores. They have to sanitize every 30 minutes, so they're constantly cleaning everything too. So now I want to talk a little bit more about kind of internal prevention, allowing our body to give it what it needs to be able to fight things. Just because we wash our hands and do everything appropriately and sanitize doesn't mean we're immune to not getting something. So the best to be able to fight something is to give your body the best tools to be able to fight. So in that regards, we talk about gut health. So when we talk about gut health and we talk about immune health, it all stems from our large intestine. So 70 to 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So that is the epicenter for all our immune system that fights viruses, bacteria. We're actually more bacteria than we are human. We have about 30 trillion human cells, and we have about 40 trillion bacteria cells. So you could actually say we are more bacteria than we are human. There's good bacteria and bad bacteria. We have to keep those in balance to stay healthy. Also, something else that is key to our gut is our melatonin, which is our sleep hormone, as well as our serotonin, which is our happy hormone. And both are 90% of both of those are found within our gut. So just some key components of our gut health is that it's 70 to 80% of our immune system, and then it's 90% of our serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone, and 90% of our melatonin, which helps us sleep. By taking care of our gut, we can in turn take care of our immune system, as well as control our feelings of happiness, as well as sleep. It's closed-minded to think that our body is just simply compartmentalized. It's all related. You can ask any chiropractor or any good doctor, and they'll tell you that everything is kind of interrelated. Another key component to gut health is what's called the gut-brain connection. There's an actual correlation of neurons between your brain as well as your gut, and they're directly related. Those feelings of butterflies, those feelings of funny things that you get, so that gut feeling that you have is actually that's correlated to your brain. So that being said about the gut-brain connection as well as overall gut health, especially right now, is something that we need to take a look into and kind of recognize and treat. It's called stress. So there's a lot of stress right now with everything going on and the unknowns. Stress is so huge when it comes to our immune system as well as our overall body functions, and not letting stress inhibit our day-to-day life. Because what happens is when we get stressed out, we release what's called cortisol, and that increase in cortisol can raise our blood pressure, raise our heart rate, and it can actually suppress our immune system. Stress also negatively affects the blood flow in our gut. So it decreases that blood flow, which can suppress our immune system. It can also throw off our blood sugar balance with our insulin and our blood sugar levels. And if those levels kind of can get off, is we can throw off hormonal balances and lots of other things too. So something else that cortisol does is it's a stress hormone, obviously, but it also can lead to weight gain. And obviously weight gain can start leading to other detrimental problems which we don't want to have. So it's key to recognize it's okay to have some stress, but to let it interfere your day-to-day life and not being able to deal with it properly can affect your health. Talking about stress from a personal aspect is that I work in a stressful job. I also have a family, just like many of you do, and you know the stresses of that. There's a lot of economic stress right now that is weighing on people's minds. So stress is not something that's going to be going away. However, we need to learn how to deal with it and not let it impact our lives. So stress is what actually caused my autoimmune condition. I was diagnosed with PTSD, and that was years and years of journey learning how to deal with that. Recommendation for all of you is to recognize stress triggers for yourself and work through ways to kind of get through that. Things that could potentially hurt your immune system is alcohol. So alcohol is something that spikes your insulin levels and can actually increase inflammation, heart problems. One of the reasons for that is alcohol is technically a toxin. So what's going on in our bodies is if we're consuming that alcohol, that liver needs to help ward off that toxin. So if it's trying to fight off that alcohol, it can't be fighting off other things. So it can suppress our immune system, and it's busy fighting off the alcohol when it should be fighting off bad bacteria or bad viruses in our body. That's something we want to limit, especially if we have a kind of an autoimmune condition. We want to kind of give our body the best thing possible to be able to ward off anything. Alcohol may seem like something that helps reduce stress. However, it's something that actually suppresses our immune system and can actually make matters worse. So let's talk about good things that we can do. One of the best things that we can do for ourselves is having a decent diet. Well, I'm not perfect. I don't think there's anybody out there that eats a completely perfect diet all the time. It's just not sustainable, I think, and for most people. As well as if you have kids, you know you're gonna have birthday cake, you're gonna have ice cream and those kinds of things. So nobody's perfect. But let's talk about some things that we can do. We all know kind of what we should be eating. Lean meats, good, fruits, vegetables, and those things should make up a majority of our diet. Things to avoid would be processed foods, as well as things high in sugar and carbohydrates. Kind of limit a lot of breads and pastas and those kinds of things. Some people swear by keto diet, some people swear by Atkins diet, paleo diet. So to me, I don't represent any kind of certain diet. I think all diets are doomed to fail because of the sustainability of them. So I think most people get bored, or just after a little while the novelty wears off. So I think anything that's sustainable for you, that's within somewhat healthy parameters, stick with what works for you. And don't get down on yourself if you're not perfect, because nobody is. Eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, and limit the amount of the bad stuff, and you'll be fine. And talk to your doctor if there's special nutrient requirements that you need. But that's how I look at things, is from a broad perspective. Water is probably one of the most important things for our body. Why? Because we're pretty much made up of water. 60% of our total body is water, 73% of our brain is water, and 83% of our lungs is water. So one of the important jobs for water is to carry out toxins in our body, and that's especially important right now. We don't want to be wasting time of our body fighting toxins when it's trying to protect us from bad bacteria and viruses. So 90% of the plasma in our body is water. What our plasma does is it carries around nutrients as well as oxygen and other things in our body to sustain our health as well as our immune health. For those of you that have autoimmune conditions like arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, just like myself, what water can do is actually helps keep our joints lubricated. It's pretty much like a shock absorber, so it's extremely important to stay hydrated because it kind of helps keep those joints freely moving as well as kind of can lessen pain in those joints as well. Water is also the building block of new cells, so our body's constantly making new cells, and in order to be able to produce those new cells and to make those immune system cells and to be able to fight things, we need water. And so a rough recommendation for water intake is about half our body weight ounces daily. So that can vary for people, body type, activity level too. If it's hotter and drier, you might need to drink more. If you're inside all day, maybe you can drink a little bit less, but that's roughly kind of what it is for most people. Well, another key thing to stay healthy in these times is exercise. I know a lot of people are trying to be staying at home right now, but we can still exercise. So there's no ban on exercise, at least in my area, and that's actually highly encouraged. So the biggest thing with that is just not doing it in a large group, but you can go outside, you can walk, you can run, you can hike. So 20 to 30 minutes a day to exercise, get your heart rate up. It not only helps our overall heart health and immune health, but it also reduces stress. It reduces that cortisol, helps to balance your blood sugar, so it has so many good benefits. Also, getting some sunshine helps to get our vitamin D. So just by exercising outside, you solve multiple problems. So I recommend everybody just get outside and do a little bit of exercise every day, especially during this time. Sleep. So sleep is so vitally important because that's the time that we have to repair our body. So recommended sleep is about 7 to 8 hours a night, depending. Some people need more, some people need less, but that's about roughly what it is for most people. I know for myself that I need that 7 to 8 hours of sleep for recovery. I exercise quite a bit, and just to get that full rest, that's what I need, is that 7 to 8 hours. So 2 days of bad or interrupted sleep can actually throw off our gut flora. And we also talked about how melatonin, our sleep hormone, 90% of that is found in our gut. Vitally important to be able to get that sleep, to be able to produce that hormone, and vice versa. So it's kind of all interrelated. We get sleep, we keep that gut bacteria in order. If we don't get sleep, it kind of gets out of whack. So it's a kind of a balancing act. Some key things to be able to take into consideration of our gut health. Supplementation is key for overall health. So we have a lot of things lacking in our diet. Supplementation kind of fill those nutritional gaps for us. So when it comes to supplementation, some things that I do is I take probiotics, prebiotics, and I help to kind of balance my overall good gut bacteria. Things that I take on a daily basis, including a good methylated multivitamin. So those are the things that I kind of help fill those nutritional gaps. So like supplementation is exactly that. And supplementation helps to supplement all those other things too. So it's just one part of the equation. We still want to make sure that we have obviously our stress control, the exercise, diet, and all those other things, but supplementation kind of fills those gaps that kind of we all have. I hope this information was useful for you. I also want to encourage everybody to comment or ask questions and things that you want to learn more about. I learn from everybody else out there as much as I do by putting the information out. This is a community. I want to learn more from other people, and hopefully everyone's going to stay safe and healthy, and I'm sure we'll be all through this together, and I look forward to making more and sharing more information with you all.